Here are the tools I used to assemble this workbench. I used a 10mm socket and a 13mm socket. They're both 1/4 inch, and then I used a 1/4 inch ratchet with them. I used a 10mm and a 13mm wrench as well. You could get away with just using the tool they supplied, this little box wrench here, the 13 and 10mm box wrench, if you don't have any of the other tools, and a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. I don't think you can do without using that. I optionally grease the unit using some general purpose grease. I recommend doing that, as it will work a lot smoother for you after you do that. Today I'm going to unbox and assemble, do a quick review on this US General folding clamping workbench with movable pegs. I bought this fairly cheaply at Harbor Freight, but I believe it's available also on Amazon. It's a great workbench. It's a light duty workbench too. It's not a Workmate or anything like that, but I mean, it's under $30, so you can't get a Workmate for that price. But for light duty work, it's great. It clamps your work, which is great, and it's fairly tough. Even though it's supposed to be light duty, I haven't been able to destroy my first one, and I've had it for almost 3 years now. Another bonus about it is it's from the ground to the top surface, it's 30 inches, which is the same height as my sawhorses, so I can use it in conjunction with my sawhorses without any issue at all. I'll also show you that I used it as a stand for my compound miter saw as well, and it works great for that too. It's fairly sturdy, and it sits quite stiff on the ground. So let's unbox it, see what the components are here, and after I unbox it, I'll show you all the components, and I'm going to verify that I got all the right components here. So we have the all-important assembly manual, user manual, pretty standard stuff. I'll put a link to this for. You have several metal pieces. This is a assembly probably for the bottom halves, and the clamp assemblies. Like I said, not too super heavy duty. I'm going to grease that screw up. I'm going to put some general purpose grease in there just to make it thread a lot easier, a lot nicer. I'm going to tighten that up a little bit too here, and these screws and this nut as well. Same thing with the other clamp. Here's the surface. It's a practical surface. It works great for what it's meant to do, but it is made out of particle board or MDF, and it'll work okay. But again, it's MDF. It's likely to fray on you after a while and fail. You can actually just use a normal piece of wood instead of this, when this wears out. But nice thing, it's got the holes in here for the plastic clamps that allow you to hold, whatever it is you're clamping on the top firm. So it's okay. I made the mistake with my first one of these workbenches of leaving this out on the deck, and it got wet. And once it got wet, it just puffed up into almost like, I'd have to say, like a sponge material. So be careful with liquids on this, as it will absorb them and it will destroy the actual piece. What else we have? Okay, and then we have the 2 legs that there we go. Actually, the 4 legs that assemble together to make the entire table. And more than likely here we have a hardware kit. Yes, we do. Small wrench for assembly, I would say. Of course, if you don't have anything else, then you can use that. But I have a 13mm and a 10mm wrench. Various pieces of hardware here, nuts, bolts, washers, and the actual clamps for the table itself, which will allow you to clamp your work to the table. So quite nice that way. And a total number of these pegs that it has is 1, 2, 3, 4, and it comes with nice rubber feet to protect the surface of anything that you put it on as well. So I'm going to verify all these parts, that I have all the right parts, and I'll lay them out for you as well so you can see how many components there are and what you should have with your kit. And then we'll go into the assembly. Here's a nicer overview of all the components. Again, we've got 2 clamps, 2 bottom shelf or bottom securing units here, 2 sets of legs, 4 clamps on for the tops, for the 2 tops here, the MDF tops, 4 feet, a 13 millimeter, 10 millimeter wrench for assembly, and a complete hardware kit. And I'll put these this hardware kit out so you can see all the components in that as well. The feet are special as well. They're actually angled. See if I can show you them. And they're angled in a specific way, so they go on a specific leg. So I'll show you how to assemble it as well. But anyway, those are all the components. So basically next I'll show you all the hardware that came with it and verify that it's correct before I start, and you can do the same. And then we'll start and assemble it. Here's all the hardware you're going to need to assemble this table. We've got 4 bolts, 4 M8 bolts, and along with 4 M8 nylon retaining nuts. We've got 8 washers. They're the 16 by 8 millimeter washers there. We have another 8 washers that are 12 by 16 millimeters with the M6 nuts, a total of 8 of those, as well as 8 M6 bolts. And on top of that, we have 16 wood screws that are Phillips. So you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. You're going to need a 10 millimeter box wrench, or just a 10 millimeter wrench, and a 13 millimeter wrench for the other bolts. First thing I'm going to deal with is the clamp assembly. Here it is. And it's been a little beat up on shipping. As you can see here, this bracket's a little bent, but I mean, it's quite thin metal, so you can straighten it out with your hand, and that's what I'll do. I'll just straighten it out like that. And now it's nice and flat. I'll do the same with the other one on the back too. It looks not too bad. Anyway, next thing I'm going to do is check the tightness on these 2 screws. They look a little misaligned there, so I'm going to loosen them up a bit. Yeah, they're okay. And I'm going to tighten them down. Don't over tighten them because they'll strip quite easily. Just get them nice and snug using your Phillips screwdriver. That's plain tight. And this is a 13 millimeter nut here, and it's kind of loose, so I'm going to tighten it down a little bit using my 13 millimeter socket. Don't over tighten it because then you won't be able to move the actual bracket itself. But as you can see, there was a long way for that to go. That may be a little too tight here. Let me see. Yeah, it's a little too tight. Let me back it out. There we go. It is a nylon nut, so it doesn't need to be super tight. But there we go. Now it's moving quite easily and nicely. I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the screw down there, the adjusting screw, and I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the top here as well to help in the movement of this bracket back and forth. All right, I tightened down the nut and the 2 screws, and I put some general purpose grease where I said I was going to do it, right on top of the rail, and then right on the screw as well. I applied it liberally. I got lots of this stuff, and you know, the more you put on there, the longer it'll stay on there too. You can always re-grease them out later on, but once the table's assembled, it's a little tougher to do. So there we go. Now they're super smooth and in function, really nice and light. So now they open and close like butter. Next we're going to put the screw these brackets down onto the actual tabletop pieces, which are these things. So we're going to put them on this and then go from there. Next we're going to put the crank assemblies or the screw assemblies onto the wood tops, and I like the measuring side on the front, so and facing up towards me, of course. And you notice that there's a notch cut out of both of these. I also like them put this way, which is also the way that they're shown in the manual. So one on the right, one on the left on the cutout there, and facing each other, of course, probably for holding round pieces and stuff like that. But again, we're going to need to put our crank assemblies down. We're going to need 4 screws, wood screws for each block or each square. and we're using, of course, the supplied wood screws and our number 2 Phillips. I'm going to be using my cordless drill to put those in, but if you don't have one, the number 2 Phillips will do just fine. So I'm going to put both of those in, and then I'll show you that after I'm done. There's all the 16 screws for our base hooked into the wood, and next we're going to work on the leg assemblies, and then after that we'll put both pieces together. So that one's complete for now. Next we're going to assemble the legs, and basically what you got in the legs is you have 2 legs. This one actually says front A on it right there. This one doesn't have anything that's saying anything about it, but this is the front. Basically the 2 long curved sides are facing you are the front, and you want them curving out away from the center. So basically, so that they stand more securely that way. The cross member is going to go across here, like so, and we will be using our skinnier bolts. That's the nuts and bolts, the M6 with the 12 by 6 millimeter washers. And we're going to be using 4 on the front and 4 on the back. And, it's up to you which way, because you got 2 here. Okay. And you want the broad face on the front, or facing you. So we're going to put those bolts in here, then flip it over and put the other cross piece on the back. And key here is we're not going to super tighten it. We're just going to put them in finger tight. And after we get it all assembled, that's when we'll tighten down all the bolts and nuts and bolts. So we'll start with this first. Okay, here's the first cross member, just basically finger tight, just a little bit snug with the screwdriver. Basically, I want it to have a little bit of play. I want to be able to adjust it a little bit because the whole table has to be assembled before you tighten it down. Here's the second cross member on the back, put on again, hand tight. I don't want to tighten them up again until I have this fully ready to be, well, all the nuts and bolts into this assembly or into this stand, primarily because I want to be able to have a little bit of adjustment to get it nice and straight. The front on this tabletop is where the handles are. That's the front, okay? And on the actual legs itself, one of them will actually say front here, so make sure that side goes towards the front of the actual tabletop. If you don't have a sticker saying front, basically look for this connection here on the inside bar. It'll be the lower one, and that's the front. Okay, so we're gonna put that in now. And so basically what we're gonna do is put the legs into the slots here, like so. And then we're going to put the 13 millimeter bolts, or the M8 bolts, the washers, the 16 by 8 millimeter washers, and the nuts, the nylon nuts on there next. So next we're going to put the M8 nuts, bolts, and washers onto the actual tabletop assembly, and we're going to put the leg in here first, and then we're going to put the nut, bolt, and washer in here as well. Right through the leg actually, but I wanted to show you what the arrangement is here on these nut, bolts, and washers. And what you're going to have is these 4 items per nut, bolt, and washer. And the washer, basically what you do is you put one washer on the nut as such, pass it through the assembly here like this, then put your other washer in on the end, and then use your bolt. Okay, so you have a washer on either side, and then you're going to screw it down. I'm showing you this way because with the leg in the way and everything, it's going to be harder for you to see. All right, here we have the legs. We're going to assemble them, put them on the top. Mine actually do say front on them right there. If you do not have that front sticker, then what you should look for is this actual post here, which is near the actual cross member, and that indicates the front of the table legs. And it's straightforward from there. There's an inside bar here too that connects to that bolt. So let me zoom that out, and so you can see what we're doing. And now we're going to put the legs into the table as such. Okay, so I'm going to start with the back and because that's currently it's folded and that's how it fits the best. But actually I'm going to just pull these apart here and put them both into the appropriate slots and then bolt it up. And this is a little flexible, so just be gentle with it, because the strength is derived from the actual construction of the table, not before. So don't want to bend it, so don't go too hard here. All right. So I'll set this up, and then we'll come back to putting the bolts in. So I've got the legs more or less aligned with the holes here. I'm going to start with my first bolt and washer on the outside, and I like the bolts going into the center of the assembly, just because I like the bolt ends to be sticking out somewhere where you can't actually snag with them. So let's put the first one in here. So bolt, washer, slide it through. And again, I'm not tightening these up until after I got all the bolts and nuts put in. So washer next, bolt next. And we're going to repeat that on every single one of them. So don't go too super tight on these. At the bottom, you can actually squash the legs if you go too tight. They're nylon threads, so they won't torque out of there they won't torque out of there or fall out because they're locked in by the nylon. And also, see how they move. If you got them too tight, then it won't move, and then you'll have a hard time opening and closing up the bench. Okay, so just snug is good. That's more or less right there for me. Now I'm going to tighten up the cross members here, these cross members, and I'm going to use my 10mm and my 10mm wrench on that. Now, if you don't have a 10mm wrench, then you can use the supplied one that came with the kit. So next we tighten down the cross members. Just put your 10mm on the back, use your screwdriver to get them down tight. Next we're going to put the the rubber feet on the bottom. They do go in a certain way, so I'll show you how to do that next. Right, you notice that the feet are all the same, but they all have one thing going on with them, and that's they slope towards one corner. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. See that the slope goes that way, and then again, if you flip it over, the slope goes to this way. So there's the slope to the one corner. That one corner needs to be facing that way to be put on the leg, and I'll show you what I mean, or what the placement will be. Basically, that slope goes to the outside edge of each leg. So let me show you what I mean here by doing it. Okay, so here we go. We have so this is the outside edge, and this is also the back outside edge. Okay, so this would be the inside here. Okay, so basically the slope goes to the outside corner. So we'll go put that on there on that one, just like that. It's just friction fit. We'll do the same on the other side. There's the slope point, and it goes to the outside edge. So I'll put it on here like that, and flip the table over and do the same on the other side. So here we go again. There's my slope point towards the outside edge, just like that, and do the same on the inside. On the other leg. So here's my outside edge. Here's my slope point. That's it for the feet. Next, the only thing that's left now is just to put the clamp downs on the table if you wish. I'm going to put mine on the ends here. Like I said, you don't even have to put these on if you don't want to. It's up to you whether you use them or not. They're handy for holding things. Say if you slide them into the holes, you get that face. You've got this face. You've got a beveled inside edge, right? So there's all sorts of ways to put these on there. So it's up to you where you put them. I'm just going to put mine here for now. That's it. And next I'm going to fold it out and show you the table, fully constructed and ready to go. All right, here are the tools I used for my modification of the face plates. I used my cordless drill, a 15/64 drill bit, a 10mm wrench, two M6 by 1 by 50mm bolts, along with the M6 by 1 bolt nuts as well. I used a couple of number 6 washers to go along with it. Actually, not a couple, 4. A 10mm socket, 10mm ratchet, a pair of pliers. These are adjustable locking pliers, or you could use a normal set of adjustable locking pliers as well will work to bend the metal, and that's it. I found these front faceplates that hold the handle and screw assembly together, and inside the top bracket for the clamping portion of the tabletop to be a little weak. You can feel them, they're a little flimsy, and here you can see that they're a little flimsy. So what I did is I bent the top ears a little bit outwards. Don't bend them inwards, because then you won't be able to fold the table. So I bent them out a little bit like that, and same on this side. And that gave it a little bit more rigidity, a little more strength, but it's still kind of floppy and wobbly, and I can see that bending out and failing. So before that happens, and as you can see, it's nice right now, I'm going to modify this so it doesn't happen at all, so it's less likely to happen. What I did is I drilled a hole through here and here using my drill bit, the one I showed you. And then after that, I'm going to use my bolts, washers, and nut to secure that. And the bolt is the M6 by 1 by 50, and it's a metric bolt. A couple of washers. Here's a metric bolt and a couple of washers. And I'm just going to secure them down, not very, very tight, but snug, again, because this is thin metal, to secure this and make it a lot tighter. So we got my bolt, put my washer on it, like so, pass it through one side. Now, one other thing you need to note is, see where I put the bolt? It's just above the tabs. The reason for that is because right center here there's a screw, and you can't, if you put the hole too low, you'll hit the screw, and you don't want to do that. So put it up higher, above the tabs, like I do have it right there, and then put your other washer on the other side. Your bolt, has your nut, sorry, on your bolt, like so, and then tighten it down a little bit. I'm going to use my 10mm wrench and socket on that. You can see that little panel going real easy. So seeing as that it's a weak point, I'm just going to tighten it down a little bit here. Doesn't have to be super tight, because you'll bend the metal. Just snug. There we go. That's plenty. Doesn't need to go any tighter than that. Just like that. And do the same thing on the other side. And now this panel isn't going anywhere, and neither is anything else. Everything is nice and snug and tight there. So that'll ensure that that panel lasts a lot longer, and your screw assembly works a lot better. Okay, there we have the finished product, and you can see how it complements the sawhorses, and it'll work just fine with them. You can also see on the left here how I used one of these as an actual bench or stand for my 12-inch miter saw. So I mean, there's different uses and purposes for it, and so, you know, you use it as you want. You can use it as a light-duty workbench. Light-duty meaning I wouldn't put any more than 50 pounds on the center of one of those MDF planks on top of that workbench, because it'll just snap. Personally, I'm going to change those planks on top, the MDF planks, and I'm going to use a piece of hardwood, that white piece of hardwood you see right here, and that'll give me a lot stronger surface to work on than the MDF. The MDF, like I said, strictly light duty. And if you want to use it as a tool stand like I am over here on the left, then, you know, it's perfectly adequate for that. I would say, again, change the planks to something solid. I used 3/4 inch hardwood on that, and they're 5.5 inch planks. So works great. I can, you know, remove the saw from the table anytime I want. It's only 4 bolts securing it down. And then I can fold it all up and put it away. So nice feature there. Again, you can use it as an extra sawhorse as well. or as a workbench as it's meant to, with the clamps and everything else, so you can cut wood or hold wood or whatever you want to do as far as working with a workbench goes. Here's a closer view of the deck or the tabletop with the clamps and so on. Basically, just nicely make sure you do this as evenly as possible. If they get too cockeyed with the top, they'll just bind, or they'll hurt or damage the table. So keep them nice and parallel or parallel to each other when they're going together. So there's the clamps holding a piece of wood down. Not bad, not super solid. I would personally use a wood clamp on top of that just to hold it steady and be sure that it's going to be solid. But for light work, hey, that works just great. Okay, so I'm going to call this the bonus feature. Basically, I did what I'm doing right now, which is sit down on this piece of MDF on the top of the actual workbench, and after I got about 60-70 pounds of my weight on it, it just snapped in half. So it's good to about 50, I'd say 55 pounds. Past that, it's going to snap on you. And so I said, okay, well, I got some 5 inch by 3 1/4 plank around here, and it's nice solid hardwood here. And so I glued this back together again. Let's see if I can I'll show it to you. There's the split right there. All right, so just snap, but I clamped it together, put some glue on it, and it seems to be holding all right. But again, it's not very strong because it's MDF. So I decided to upgrade my table by using the one I didn't snap, the back one, this one as a template, and basically drilling it out, cutting it a little bit bigger and drilling it out, and putting it on instead. So now I got all my weight on that one front plank, and it has no problem holding it. So I've taken it from, I'd say, from a light duty to medium duty table, and it isn't going to give on me. So I'll show you what it looks like. It's not as pretty, but it's every bit as functional. Okay, there's the deck, and I used the good piece, the one from the back, as a template, and I basically just cut it out and drilled it out. I made it a little wider, so I have a bigger deck now than I used to have, but it has the same amount of holes on it, everything else, and works exactly the same as the original, except now it's probably about 4 times stronger because I'm 185 pounds, and it'll take my whole weight on one of these planks. And this one, the one that snapped, took about 60 pounds before it just snapped in two, and it basically went snap, basically he couldn't take any more weight than that. So it's fine for light duty. The MDF boards that come with this kit are fine for light duty stuff, like 50, 60 pounds maximum. I'd say 60, you're pushing it. But hey, get a couple of nice pieces of plank like I did, and use the MDF tops as a template on them. I just clamped them on top and drilled them out, and hey, that's it. You go from light duty to medium duty, and I'm quite happy with this table now, and I'm sure it'll last me years and years like the other one did, especially now that I've put the nice real wood tops on it. So that's it. That's my full review there on this table. That's it for my video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video and it helped you out in some way, do me a favor, click on the like button right down here, and if you wish to subscribe to my channel, just click on this link up here, and that should subscribe you to the Richard Lloyd channel, or Richard Lloyd USA channel. Okay, again, thank you very much for your time and watching.